The Problem Is Me is really more than a book, it's a tool which can be used to free oneself from the negative childhood messages. As we grow older, these messages create intrusive voices in our adult life, which can guide us to harmful behaviors to ourselves and others. In many ways, these messages chain us to play our roles which can sabotage our happiness. About 13 years ago, we had to put our dog to sleep. My son was 11 at the time, and he was very close to the dog. And he took it very rough. He was very sad. And I followed him to his room one night, and I asked him how he was doing, and he said, "I'm doing okay, Dad." Well, I proceeded to walk over to him and put my arms around him, and I put his arms around me, and I laid his head on my chest. And he started to cry. After a few seconds, his grip on me intensified, and so did his tears. You see, that day I was giving my son the message that it was okay to cry in his father's arms. I was giving my son a safe environment, an environment I didn't have as a child, but an environment that I was giving my son on that day. You see, my children know that they can make a mistake. It doesn't mean they are a mistake. They know that they could fail at times. It doesn't mean that they are a failure. These are the messages that I want them to carry to future generations. A simple message in our childhood can create such a lifelong sentence. So this book is a tool that can break those chains. Throughout the book, The Problem Was Me, I refer to the warden. The warden is an imaginary character with a bat who sat on my shoulder. See, whenever anybody made me feel defected, the warden would come out swinging. You see, the warden's been around a real long time, ever since I could remember. And his motive is to swing his bat at me if ever I should feel like I deserve to be happy, or if I should stumble and fall. You see, he permitted me no margin for error. So the warden becomes this inner voice inside of us that doesn't go away, constantly reminding us of the intrusive messages of our childhood whenever we make mistakes in our lives. And eventually the warden will guide us into isolation, a very dangerous but comfortable place for many of us. And in this isolation, we develop a self-centeredness, somehow giving us the right to do certain things, regardless of the harm it causes others. So the three essentials that can quiet the warden's voice are: 1, awareness. We have to know what's broken inside in order to know what has to be fixed. 2, actions. We have to take positive actions, positive behaviors. Awareness alone will not do the trick. The third essential, maintenance. If we don't maintain this program of recovery, the warden will be back to try and take over our actions again. His volume will increase. So this book provides many resources. 1, it will help those that have destructive behaviors. 2, it will provide an understanding to many of us who have family and friends who act in ways where they seem to jeopardize their own happiness when it comes their way. And finally, this book will supply one with a blueprint on how to give our children the loving and healthy messages that were denied to many of us. About a year ago, I was watching a baseball game with my youngest son, and he said, "Dad, how come the kids in the stand are cheering so hard for their favorite ball player?" Well, I told him, those ball players are the heroes. And he stopped, and he was processing what I had just said, and he finally came back to me and said, "Dad, they may be my heroes someday, but you'll always be my first hero." In reality, we are always our children's first heroes. That's our responsibility, whether we want it or not. This book contains my life story, as well as the story of other men and women who have found a better life through using the methodology in this book. Through these techniques, they've realized that they're not evil people that deserve to be punished, but rather discouraged people that needed help. This book deals with my personal struggles with compulsions, as well as my wisdom and insights I have gained in my life journey. The Problem Is Me, by Gagliano, with Dr. Abraham Twersky, a book of hope. Thank you.